Hey, everybody, welcome to the Tactical Traveler. I'm so excited today. I have a really great guest for us, somebody that I just recently met, and they have a travel tech startup company. And to me, it is just so fascinating. All of the people that I've been meeting through this podcast and that are really doing some amazing things inside the travel industry. And so it's my privilege and honor to introduce you guys to Jen Hong. Jen, how are you doing?
Hi, John. Hello. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited.
Awesome. So you were just telling me that the last time we spoke, you were in Australia. Now
hmm
you're in Korea, and then
hmm
you're heading to New York. I mean, that's like the nomad's dream. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing with all this travel.
Yeah, I lived in New York for all of my 20s and moved to Australia in 2018 or 2019 just to like travel. Just wanted to take a gap year and ended up just kind of staying there for 2 years and was sort of planning on moving back to New York, but with the pandemic, wasn't sure. And now I'm just kind of in Korea, on my way to New York, so that I could like visit all my relatives and my family and also eat a bunch of Korean food before heading back to New York.
Yeah, I love Korean food, by the way.
You do?
Um,
You like
I
kimchi?
do. I do.
You
I'm
do?
more of a bulgogi fan, if
Yeah,
I'm saying it right. I'm a red
yeah,
meat guy, so I love that dish. We have a Korean shop here in town, and that's what I have every time, beef bulgogi. So I
yeah.
love it.
It's the best.
So now, uh, you know, as you and I were talking, I want to really kind of give people a sense before we get into what you're doing in the tech space, a
hmm
sense of what kind of person you are, because I was really impressed with your story that you moved to Australia and then you started to do a bunch of stuff to really help facilitate your dream. Just talk me through that and, where this kind of started and what you were doing while you were in Australia to make money. And then we'll kind of transition because I really want to spend a lot of time talking about this great idea that you have.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I think, I've always been very kind of in New York. I was always kind of in a very corporate environment, large companies and things like that. And once I kind of got to Australia, I really just wanted to do something different. So while I was traveling, obviously, the reason I wanted to take a gap year was because first I was just really unhappy working, insane hours, every week. And, I just wanted to take a gap year and actually travel, but also like take a bunch of courses that I've always been curious about. So, obviously had to kind of do like freelancing work on the side. And that's when I started kind of getting into, this digital nomad, so to speak, lifestyle. And just first thing I did was like went on like Upwork and then started looking for some gigs. And then honestly, it just a lot of things happened by chance, if you can believe that. Like I
Yep.
was, one of the projects I won was because I was trying to hire designers, design agency for my startup as I started like once I started working on the actual product design. And, after speaking to them, they were like way out of my budget. And they actually wanted to hire me as a go-to-market consultant. So like things like that happen, where because I was just kind of pursuing things that I was passionate about, I guess, I think that kind of projected certain energy out. And a lot of these, projects and work opportunities and learning opportunities that I've come across in the past, 2 years or so really happened by luck.
Yeah. And I mean, to me at least, there's no question that when you're in the right place, at least mentally, maybe spiritually, it just seems like, God, the universe, karma, whatever you want to call it, really does align things for your benefit as long as you're properly aligned. And I've just talked to so many people that share some kind of that same story. And, to be honest, a lot of people with a story just like yours, where they're fed up with the corporate lifestyle. They hate it. It brings them no joy. maybe they're making great money, but they're absolutely miserable doing it. I'm a little bit older, but I like to think of myself as at least young in mind. But I really see that beginning to happen a lot with the younger generation, where they're like, why am I slaving away for these people for money that I can't even really spend because I can't ever get out of the office to do anything? Would you say that that's kind of your experience as well?
Yeah, I think that I'm kind of in the like a transitional millennial, like somewhere in between. There's definitely like fear. It's scarier. I mean, at least I had to kind of deal with my own fear in that aspect but to be honest, yes, absolutely. I think that millennials change jobs a lot more frequently. And I don't necessarily believe that's because they can't commit or, they're entitled. I think it's because millennials really try to believe in like learning opportunities. We want to, a lot of millennials have side hustles and side jobs and projects. So I think it's all about people just, as we all kind of evolve and as we evolve with the technologies and the trends, we are all kind of growing at a much faster pace.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have this, which as we talked before the call, I love, you have this great idea for basically, for lack of better language, at least on my end, a social media platform to help people with travel. And before we get into what it all does, I want you to tell me the story of how that became a thing for you. Like, where did this idea get born from? What was it that happened in your life that was the catalyst to cause you to go from a corporate job that was probably really stable and really good to, hey, I'm just going to throw everything to the wind and start my own thing and see what happens?
Yeah, great question. And there are a lot of different forces that kind of came together, but I think it really kind of started with the fact that I don't know if I mentioned, but I was born in Seattle, grew up in Cali, but I also, my parents are Koreans and they wanted to actually move back to Korea. So I actually moved with them and then went to an international school. So I was, our school had, for those of you who don't know what an international school is, it's basically like accredited American school in foreign countries. So a lot of the kids are like diplomats kids and, American military base kids and things like that. And what's really interesting is, I was exposed to like 48 different ethnicities at such a young age. A lot of my friends were from all these different countries and being exposed to that level of diversity in, global environment really, I think, shaped how I think and kind of really implanted this insatiable desire to explore every part of the globe.
Yes.
And so I'm very antsy. So, needless to say, I like traveling.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you obviously I like traveling, but most people like traveling, let's be real, right? So, but it's not just that. Like, so I always tend to kind of play this role of a planner. I like initiating group trips. I love, traveling with friends. Obviously, logistically, it's a nightmare, but I really do enjoy, traveling with people I love. And one thing that I kind of realized was actually when I left New York. So like, I've always kind of wanted to, build a tool that helps helps me like plan trips better with, friends and family. But the concept of this whole startup really kind of came together when I left New York. And my best friend gave me this book called The Alchemist. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yep.
So basically it's a book about a boy, right, who is a shepherd and he likes traveling and he's actually given told that there's a treasure in Egypt. So he actually travels much further than he's comfortable with and goes on all these detours in life because he's like distracted and it takes him a while to actually get there. And he almost gives up a few times until he actually gets there. And he calls it like following his personal legend. And Levantr, by the way, is the name of this wind throughout the book that really nudges him to keep going every time he's about to give up by like bringing him like scent of like a woman he loves or scent of, reminding him of his own mission.
Now,
and
you
his
didn't tell
personal
me that
legend.
part. That's fascinating. I
Yeah.
love that.
So like it's when I read that book, and my best friend gave me that book when I left New York, because she wanted to basically say, you know, do not give up, like do not question yourself, keep going, follow this path, follow your curiosity, and then figure out what you really need to do, what you want to do. And so that book became this my absolutely favorite book. And when I was kind of doing, soul searching, so to speak, during my travels, during my gap year, I realized that really, I love traveling so much, and I think that you can't really reach your full potential until you've taken a lot of these journeys to these unknown places, and gotten out of your comfort zone and really kind of challenge yourself. And all the detours that you take on the way there are even more important than the destinations themselves. So this, once I kind of started thinking about that and the significance of actually physically traveling around and going to different places to explore, I realized that, I want to not only build a tool, but turn this into a company and a brand that brings people together so that we can inspire them to travel further, explore the unknown, and grow from the experience with, their old and new friends.
Yeah. Now, you kind of brought it up, so we'll use that as a great segue. So your platform is called Levantr, and go ahead and explain that to me, and to everybody that's listening, what that does and where you pulled that idea from. Just talk to me about the detail. Now, I've been on the website. I went and signed up after we talked. For me, it really reminded me of an upgraded version of Road Trippers, if you know what that app is.
Yes.
So I was loving it. I was like, okay, this is cool. But share with me what it is for the uninitiated.
Sure. So basically, at the moment, it's a tool. Think Pinterest meets Trello for travel. And technically, it's Pinterest plus Trello plus SurveyMonkey. But basically, you come on Levanter and then you create a journey on your board. So you could say, Miami, my honeymoon, whatever it is, the next, adventure or trip that you're planning. And then once you create a journey, within that journey, you get three things. So one is this idea board where you and your crew can save and organize all your ideas as one place. So everybody has the same view of what's actually happening and the ideas being added. And when it comes to like time to make decisions, like when you should travel, what you guys should book, things like that, you can use our custom design surveys to make those decisions a lot faster. And we have this itinerary functionality where you can just drag from what you have saved on the idea board and drag it into the itinerary. So you can kind of create this very customizable itinerary within just a few minutes. Those are the main capabilities. We have a vision going beyond that, and we are adding a lot of this the UX and UX features that are really designed to help these avid travel planners, right? So, like we have a split screen view to minimize the amount of back and forth or tab switching that's required. Yeah, those are kind of the examples of some of the features that we've added. We have like a note function. So like in the itinerary, you're able to add notes to each item. So if you need to communicate to the whole crew, like, hey, like we got this book, remember to bring your passport and your swimsuit or something, that's the place to be. So it's really focused on this aspect of collaboration and cohesive communication while traveling.
Yeah. Now, there's also, so as I was looking through it, you don't have to be a travel planner to utilize this platform, right?
Not at all. You mean like, yeah, you can be, initially we're going after anyone who's, the tool is designed with all this, functionalities, because we are trying to support, type A planners. But technically you don't have to use the itinerary if you're not the type of person that creates itineraries. You can just, keep all your ideas in one place and use the idea board itself. And we plan on adding certain additional functionalities to appeal to all kinds of travelers. So automation, kind of thing. So one thing that we're thinking of, when you're doing research, right? Like TripAdvisor, you going on blog sites, whatever it is, you have to copy and paste stuff, right? That's really annoying. So we are introducing like a Google Chrome extension so that like kind of captures what you're researching and auto
Yeah.
saves to your idea board. Things that, we will be introducing features to, so that you can save what you see on like social media, immediately, very easily without
Yeah.
having to take screenshots.
When I was looking at it, it reminded me of a vision board for like planning, but a vision board specifically for travel.
Yeah.
Just the way that it was outlined, but not everybody that's going to be listening today is going to, be a travel planner. So I wanted to make sure they understood that, you don't have to be a travel planner. You could come and, just be looking at something for you and your significant other or you and your family and gather ideas from everybody else's itineraries, right?
Absolutely. So I'm glad you brought that up. So like this is definitely we're going after consumers, not travel like planners or travel agents necessarily, but it could be used by all, any and all. The other aspect we're thinking of was what you said, like this exchange of ideas. If if you think about when you travel, what sources or which source of recommendations you trust the most, you think of your friends and your families, right? So people that that are similar to you, or that people who, that know you, that know what you like, you trust their recommendations above all else. But if you ever like, I don't know if you've ever like asked friends and families for like recommendations when you're traveling, like you get it in all sorts of formats. I've gotten it in like notes format, like bullet points in an email, Excel
Right.
sheet, sometimes like an audio, right?
A
They're just like reading
screenshot of
out.
their ticket.
Yeah, yeah. And you just gotta like look, collate all of them and actually put them in, and then like, Google them and all that. There's a lot of work to be done by getting those types of recommendations. So like what we thought of was eventually what you'll be able to do is, if I have an itinerary, let's say to go to Peru, and then I went to Peru, I have an itinerary and I want to share with you, John. I can just shoot it over to you, and then you'll get it on Levantr, and you can plug and play based on what you like. And soon there will be like the search engine where you'll be able to find other people's itineraries without their personal information, obviously, if they've opted to make it public, based on your preference levels. You guys, if you got going out, looking for itineraries of other people who have similar travel preferences based on the types of activities you do and things like that. So you can kind of really crowdsource ideas in a much more effective and efficient way.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Now, how far are you in the process? Because when I was on the website the other day, I mean, it's looking really good to me. I mean, I know from talking with you that you've got other kind of improvements and other kind of, bigger goals in mind for it. But how far would you say you are in the process?
Yeah, we have our MVP, which is basically just like initial, V1 of the product out, and which is functional, working well. So that's where, so which is a good place to be. We actually decided to take a little more time before launch to make sure that we had all three functionalities ready. At the moment, what we're doing is we have an 18-month roadmap to that will take us from like a tool to the community that I just mentioned, to eventually a marketplace. So we are fundraising, and
You're so smart. I was about to go, okay, this isn't free. Tell me
oh
about money.
yeah, yeah. Nothing in life is really free, right? If you
Well,
think
nothing
about it.
worth anything is free. You know?
Yeah, that's true. It's basically, what's funny is, because we're a tech startup, for those of you who are not too familiar with how like normally tech startups work, like you have a product, you get a proof of concept, you get users, and once you get kind of funding, and you get a lot of momentum in terms of you focus on user growth, and then you focus on revenue. But for us, we actually wanted to test our business model idea early on, because we thought that our business model that we have in mind is not just for our revenue, for us to make money. We think that it's, another way for us to actually improve our users' experience and add values to them, their travel experiences. So one of the key things, the way I'm thinking about it is today, if you think about how travel hacking, for instance, right? There's a lot of research that goes into it. It's
Yeah,
almost kind of a special kind of people get into travel hacking and I succeed in it, right?
that's me.
Yeah,
I'm a
that's
travel hacker.
you. Yeah, you're that special kind of you belong to that top 1%.
No,
But
I'm just special.
yeah,
I'm not sure about the top 1%, but
so it's I wanted to find a way for us to look at, the fact that we have so many people like dreaming about travel and saving all their ideas. I wanted to figure out a way to reword them for that, you know?
Mhm.
So one thing I thought of was if let's say we see you're going to Greece in 6 months and you have a few Airbnbs and hotels saved, options saved. What we will then do as one of our revenue business models is we'll say we'll reach out to those hotels. We'll reach out to the items that you have, if we can, and ask them if they want to offer you deals.
Mm.
So it could be, anything. It could be a discount. It could be a free shuttle. It could be a free champagne, 30% off couples massage, whatever it is. So that, we are getting you deals. It's basically like an automated like travel agent in that sense, just that aspect. So we look at what you want to, what you're considering as options, and we'll go out and get those deals for you. That's one of the business models.
Yeah. I mean, that would, the truth is kind of like what you were talking about. To do the travel hacking portion, it takes a lot of time up front. Now, when I want to go somewhere and I don't want to spend a lot of money, it takes me 5 minutes. But it didn't take me 5 minutes when I first started doing it. It took me hours to figure out how to manipulate flights and to get the flights at the price that I wanted. I mean, and even still today, sometimes that doesn't work. And, the ability to actually have a platform with enough power to negotiate rates down for people is really significant, and is all the way. And then it becomes a kind of like self-replicating cycle, right? That you start getting more deals, so you start getting more users, which allows you to get more deals. And then now these companies are paying you to actually advertise their deals.
Yes, because if you really think about it, there are two areas of efficiency on the demand on the user side and the company side, right? One is like to your point, like the travel hacking is super difficult. Like to trying to get into it and trying to get good at it, it's just very difficult for a lot of people, right? So they're just kind of looking for deals and end up compromising, right? Having to sacrifice the things or types of hotels, whatever they really want, or the flights that they really want to do, but end up kind of choosing something slightly, less preferable. And then on the company side, what's happening is they don't really know how, there's no good way to advertise because it's such a fragmented market, right?
Yeah.
So, nobody's going to follow a bunch of hotels on social media, right? So not a lot of people do that. So what they do is they end up their only option is to rely on like TripAdvisor and these OTA sites where they pay like 35% commission.
Yep.
And
they don't get a great deal from those sites.
Yeah. And also if you're trying to offer them deals, you have to kind of offer it to a lot of different people. So you can't offer like very personal, there's no personalization really available, right? Because you're offering to the masses. So by kind of looking at these gaps on both sides, what I thought of was what if we just kind of flip it and focus on what the users are thinking and they want, and then going to the hotels and providers and companies to see what they want to offer. Because a lot of times, I'll just stick with the hotel as an example, they are open to providing deals. And sometimes it's not about discounts. It could be like if you're doing a bachelor party and the hotel is willing to offer you like 5 bottles of champagne or whatever, right? Like that could be a good enough incentive. There are things that you can do, and hotels could also might be more willing to offer certain types of deals, certain types of during certain times in the year because they either have lower occupancy rate or whatever it is. There's willingness on both sides.
Yeah. Well, and hotels have far more, or I don't know if they have far more flexibility or if they're willing to be far more flexible than airlines. I've never really seen airlines work with people to help people out. Just I've never seen it personally. So,
I mean, you try calling them on the phone,
yeah,
like while things are happening on the ground, and if they're like, "Oh, wait time is 3 hours," like in
yeah.
New York at the airport, like.
Well, I've got a large travel group. Between the two groups I have, it's almost 30,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
and you would think that there's some bartering ability there. And every time I've talked to a hotel, there is. Every time I've talked to an airline, they're like, "Go pound sand."
Yeah.
Like they don't care. They're like, "Whatever, we don't care." So, and I don't know if that's that they have no margin or if they don't care to give you any margin. Like I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's both. I mean, in general, like as an industry, it's low margin, right? Very low, thin margin. So they don't have a lot of room to play around with.
Yeah, right. So you're still in this stage one, or what'd you call it? You called it something different.
MVP stage.
MVP stage.
Yeah.
You haven't rolled out 2.0, and you're still in the fundraising process. And I don't want to get into the numbers with you necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
but what kind of financial investment do you guys need to take this to the next level? Because I don't know who's listening today, but maybe there's somebody who can help you guys out and needs to know some kind of ballpark figure.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. But actually, for legal reasons, we're not allowed to solicit like public
You're
investment,
not
like
soliciting.
investment publicly and then announce a number. But what I will say is that if anybody is interested, do let me know. We have 18-month roadmap that includes product features, like marketing tactics, roles that we're going to hire, even like influencers we're going to partner up with, like costing. Like we went above and beyond in terms of figuring out what we need to do. Obviously, knowing that at any point we might have to pivot,
Sure.
but a lot of the things that we're trying to introduce is, this automation capability, that I mentioned, where the Google Chrome extension, discovery automation, again, being able to share itineraries on our site. And also introduce this kind of deal finding, right? Automated travel agent kind of matching between hotels and willing to offer deals and users, and also like introducing different ways to help companies actually advertise, but also help users find good ideas, right? Based on the types of activities you have saved. We can like suggest different activities, suggest different itineraries, partner up with an influencer that's on our horizon. We already have a few influencers we're collaborating with so that they can host their itineraries that you can download. I think that really I can go for, hours and hours. We have a long, 4 pages of features that we want to introduce down the line.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, without giving away your special sauce, maybe talking generalities, what kind of features would those be?
So a few things like, besides the ones that I just mentioned, like the features. When you say features, are you referring to like features for users or features for like companies or all of them?
You just said that you've got a couple things on your mind that over the
Yeah,
next
I can share that. So, a few things. So, one is the ability for influencers to, bloggers or who host their itineraries, to have analytics on like number of downloads, right, and the shares, and then beyond just eyeballs, and having matching them with different companies so that they can partner up, and then you can kind of do that.
Nice.
You can kind of get paid per download, so that benefits influencers who can get paid higher, and it benefits companies who actually have visibility over like exactly what they're getting, what the return is on their marketing investment. So that's one kind of revenue area we're looking into. Feature wise, we want to create like real community on our platform. So the way we want to we're thinking we're gonna get into the events. We're gonna partner up with our tour operators, or it would be great if we can partner up with something like Yacht Week or Kentucky, and host events for Levantr members. We will introduce our reward system where if you're a Levantr member, you're traveling, let's say you're in Greece, we'll like find a yoga studio and then you get free yoga if you're a Levantr member. Something like that, so that we start to really build strong community and network and relationship with our end users, and also just throw a bunch of parties. And as we start to our communities grow, another something that I was thinking of, this idea of sharing economy. So we'll have groups traveling to different locations. So
nice.
If they are willing, we can host events like social events for them to mingle, or we could also like match them up so they can like co-rent or co-use like luxury products, such as like yacht rentals, private jet. If you want to book a helicopter, villa rental, like whatever it is, if you want to get together and book a club, I don't know, and eventually, and also like start to kind of onboard more ancillary services. So let's say you want to, go to, I was about to say Long Island. I don't think that's a good example, like Napa for like a bachelor party, and you want to, hire a private car to drive you around so that you guys can kind of have, then you'll be able to kind of find those services on our platform. I think this ancillary services idea, I don't know why the bigger players haven't really gotten into this space, because it's such a value add. It's
that's the profit margin. So the profit margin on a tour is maybe 1 or 2%. Whereas with a hotel, that profit margin is often, or a cruise is often 10 or 20%, right? So even though people like you and I are far more interested in the things that surround where we stop, the truth is that most of those people don't have the margin to pay to incentivize a bigger company like Expedia to even look at it.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Yeah.
But I love it because you're speaking my language. So screw those bigger guys. You just become the big guy. And you do it.
Yeah.
Right?
David, right? David versus Goliath.
Yeah. So I'm an adventure junkie. I mean, that goes through my blood. I don't know if you've ever heard of this app, but it's called Adventure Junkie. And as I looked through your site, I was thinking about this app, but on your platform. So I guess it's a two-part question. Number one, when do you come out with your app? And then number two, is there going to be a place for drug addicts like me who need to go swim with great white sharks?
Absolutely. I don't know if I'm as adventurous as you sound like. I don't think that I'll be like, swimming with the sharks, let's say, but because I'm a terrible swimmer, but I love like skydiving. I'll do anything. I'll do things like that. I love sandboarding. So if those count as adventures, absolutely. So I absolutely like the more, like, I think it's more like niche, activities and services that we can provide. We will go after them, because the more niche items that we can have on the platform, the better it is, because that means that our users get access to things that they're not normally used to. They don't normally have access to, right?
Right.
Because normally, I mean, I don't want to get into this SEO business. If you Google things to do in Perth, Australia, let's say. Yeah, because of these, there's the bigger ones, tour companies or whatever, they're better at SEO and marketing. They're the ones that you find on the first 3 pages, right?
Right.
So the more niche ones and smaller ones are like you're unlikely going to find them. I mean, one time I found this prison tour in Perth, by the way, that was literally the most fun tour I've ever had, and it was like a nighttime prison tour. And
wow.
I looked at every single website, like meaning went from one to the last page of all the websites, TripAdvisor, everything, to find things to do in Fremantle in Australia, and didn't find it. And I only found out because I was on a boat and the locals that I was drinking with told me about it.
I was going to say you could have had a prison tour just by drinking and then doing something crazy. What kind of prison was this that that you needed a tour? They do those
Yeah.
for free in America.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I don't, I mean, I don't know. It's also like, I don't think that, I think American prison for some reason in my mind would be a lot more intimidating. Um,
I'm
like,
just messing with you.
yeah, I think what's also funny is they do this tour where you can like go, like, you have to wear a helmet and then you like go by a boat and then you basically go like in the tunnel, like underneath, underground, and then actually see how the prisoners used to escape.
Hmm. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I wanted to do that, but it was too late. But it's yeah, things like that. But like it's just like, the more like these like things, these gems that you find, it's really hard. This is why people try to crowdsource on Facebook groups and things like that, right? Because they know that Googling doesn't necessarily get you the most unique activities because they're normally, operated by small players.
Right. Right. Yeah. Now, what's the second part here is, do you have a plan for an app? What's that look like?
Yes. So at the moment we're web only, as you know. We are working on our mobile like capabilities. So initially you'll be able to like do things by going on our website on the phone. We absolutely have plans to create our own native app, but from priority standpoint, that will happen probably end of the year likely.
Oh,
But
cool.
you'll be able to use our platform or some aspects of it on our
Right.
platform on the phone by going to our website by May.
Cool. That's awesome. So, because it's if you haven't read that book, it's actually can be a little bit difficult to spell. Why don't you tell me the spelling of your website? I'll put it in the podcast notes, and the best way to contact you.
Sure, it's Levantr, Levantr, Levantr.com. And best way to contact me would be either on our Instagram page because we have multiple people monitoring the messages. So our Instagram handle is my book, like my underscore Levantr, or you can email me directly at jen@levantr.com.
Cool. Well, I appreciate so much your time today. I love the idea. I love the concept of what you're doing. And if you're planning on bringing the app out by the end of the year, let's stay in really good touch because I'd love to bring you back on again. And once you kind of get a couple more things worked out and just kind of constantly get you back in front of the crowd of people that I have. And I'm going to also talk with you here in a little bit about sharing it into the groups that I have and seeing if I can get you some traction that way. Because again, I love the idea. I love the entrepreneurial spirit that you have. The fact that you were Ubering and doing all kinds of stuff to really get to the place to where you could launch your dream. Man, that's just an amazing story to me. And I want everybody to hear that because we need people like you to show other people that they can actually live a life of their dreams if they just take that first step and go. So I really appreciate your time and coming on today.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. Thank you, John.
No problem. We'll talk to you soon.